Welcome to the Get Real About Safety podcast. In our podcast, we discuss the new view of safety, what works and what doesn't work, to break down old paradigms and help you improve safety performance in your organization. Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Pam, and we appreciate you listening. Please share and subscribe and tell others about this podcast. You can find us on most podcast platforms and also on YouTube. Welcome to this podcast, and we hope you're all staying safe and healthy during these difficult times. We are doing well and busy with virtual training sessions. Mike just produced a music video, and I've been busy carving Santa figures in my spare time. So let's get into today's podcast, which is about safety stand-downs. I've wanted to do this one for quite a while, mainly because I have spent a number of these standing in the back with the workers, and it concerns me that in a lot of cases, we are not accomplishing what we hoped for. In fact, the title of our podcast today comes from a thought I had when listening to a particularly bad stand-down message. Safety stand-downs are stupid. I know I probably put some folks on the defensive with that statement, and I realize that the intent of having a stand-down for most companies is good, but I've experienced my share of them, and from my impressions of workers' responses, in some cases, management may not have achieved their desired results. The first question you should ask is, what is the purpose of your stand down? Often stand downs are a reactionary action following an event. This is especially true if the event resulted in a serious injury or death. Emotions will be riding high in this scenario, and no one is in the frame of mind to learn or even listen. Instead, the only thing we should consider doing is to offer concern, caring, opportunities for workers to vent, and information about the status of the injury or event. Learning and teaching can be done later. Holding a stand down after an event is an example of the old view of safety, or the bad apple model, where we think our systems are perfect if it were not for the imperfect people who do not fit into our system. Holding a stand down for the purpose of fixing our people demonstrates our lack of understanding of human performance. It is a way of blaming the worker rather than understanding the system issues that led to the event. This makes a stand down gratifying to management because it lets them off the hook for our failures. After all, if workers are to blame, management doesn't have to do anything different. I've also heard management state the reason for the stand down is to get workers to pay attention more. The assumption being that workers in general are not paying attention to their own safety and need you to remind them. But they are paying attention, at least as much as is humanly possible to do. Often we don't understand the limits of the human brain, and we think workers can be aware of everything going on around them in a busy and complex work site. A while back, I happened to read a notice about an OSHA fall prevention stand down, and it said the following: a safety stand down is an event for employers to talk directly to employees about safety. Well, therein lies the problem: management talking to workers. Now, in all fairness, they also recommended try to make it positive and interactive. Let workers talk about their experiences and encourage them to make suggestions. That's right. Try to make it positive. Let the workers talk. What if instead we held a meeting where management chooses to sit back and listen rather than talk? Yes, a stand down is an opportunity for management to talk directly to workers, but the process should not be one-sided with just management doing the talking. So now we've showed workers that safety is more important than production by holding a stand down. That's a good message to send. But if all we do is talk, and the last thing workers hear is, okay, let's get back to work and be safe, without any opportunity for discussion, we may never know what barriers workers feel are preventing them from working safely. A slightly better approach was mentioned in an article written by Air Products, who recommended first doing an anonymous survey featuring questions such as, if you had to make a bet, where would the next accident occur at this facility and why? What bothers you most about safety on this site? What reasonable changes would you like to recommend to make your work safer? What rules seem to be the least understood by your fellow workers? What rules are most likely to be ignored? Good luck getting them to tell you that. Do you think the training you received is adequate, and are the appropriate tools available? I would tweak these questions just a little, but the concept is very good. Here are my suggested questions. If someone's going to die on the job today, where is it going to happen and why? If you were in charge today, what would be the first change you would make? What are your biggest safety concerns? What do you need to work safer? Where are our policies or procedures flawed? By doing an anonymous survey first, leaders could read a few of the answers as an icebreaker and then open up the conversation for discussion. I really like that idea. Here's some things to think about. What do you think is going through the minds of workers when a stand down is announced? What do you think they're saying to each other? Afterwards, do you think the workers perceive the stand down as a positive event? Well, let's talk about some ways to ensure the event is positive. First, pre-plan. Do your pre-planning before a stand down to think about who will be present, where you will hold the stand down, and what you are hoping to accomplish. It should be obvious to management that we don't want to lose that much productivity while accomplishing nothing but checking a box. We need to understand what we hope to accomplish up front. Holding a stand down outside in inclement weather is also not likely to win any employees over to your way of thinking. Plan in advance for location. Also plan for audio equipment that will ensure all members of the audience are able to hear the message. Many times I've seen workers at the back of the group talking amongst themselves and joking about the fact they can't hear a thing that is being said. And then to top it off, some manager comes up and chastises them for talking instead of listening. Too bad he didn't listen enough to notice they couldn't hear the speaker. What did he want them to do? Stand silently at attention? If demonstration is part of the stand down, you'll also need to make sure everyone can see. If necessary, you may need to hold multiple smaller meetings. It will be helpful to announce the stand down and the topic ahead of time to allow workers to talk amongst themselves about their concerns, so when everyone is together, they've had time to think about any questions they might have. Also consider language issues. Some folks have someone who translates each sentence following the English speaker. Unfortunately, that takes at least twice as long, and the flow of the conversation seems to diminish. Consider holding a separate stand down for those who do not speak English, done by someone who speaks the language and who is a management representative, or at least have management present. This will also encourage workers who would not speak up ordinarily to engage in the conversation. Participation. Participation by workers is required. Talking to workers only shuts down communication. You think you know better than they do. They don't agree. Consider handing out surveys up front. Then select some and read aloud to the group and answer their comments or questions. Then open the conversation up to anyone willing to participate. If no one participates, you've learned something valuable. The fear level in your organization is impacting communication and needs to be dealt with. Whoever is doing the speaking needs to have a positive message. Yelling at people or talking down to them is not going to gain you anything, and in fact will increase the cycle of mistrust in your organization. You know who the right leader is in your organization to deliver the right message. Tone matters. The tone should be positive, caring, and humble. Remember, you are talking to the subject matter experts on your job. Don't talk down to them or be dismissive of their concerns. Messages such as, y'all need to tighten up, is not going to improve your culture. Recognition. A stand down is a perfect opportunity to recognize individuals for their safety performance. Some workers would rather not be called up front and are happy to just hear their name spoken in a positive manner. Others will be willing to come up front and get their moment in the spotlight. Know this in advance. You may even want to discuss the preferences of folks ahead of time. What we don't want to do is make anyone uncomfortable, but there is great benefit from accenting the positive and thereby rewarding folks for doing good work. And on a high note, people remember the beginning and end of meetings like this. If we send a negative message at the end, this is what will be remembered. If what we instead communicate is our thanks for the hard work people have done and for the accomplishments they've achieved, we will then be the recipients of much goodwill and will have enlisted the cooperation of everyone to achieve our goals. Safety stand-downs don't have to be stupid. They can be a great opportunity to ensure all workers hear management's message directly, rather than through the filters of many layers of leadership and for management to hear the concerns of the workers. Instead of a stand-down, management should stand up for safety and ask, what could we do as management to improve safety? Rather than focusing on the worker, management needs to spend time in the field, to walk a mile in their shoes. This can be done informally, or better yet, in a formal process of shadowing a worker by spending a day doing the task alongside the worker. Some forward-thinking companies hold a stand-down for the purpose of showing their commitment to the workers. If it's done for this purpose, it's a good thing. But if it's done for the purpose of fixing the workers, then stand-downs are truly stupid.